Welcome back. Latin America is traditionally within the U.S. sphere of influence. Both sides enjoy strong economic as well as cultural ties. Will China's investment change the dynamics of U.S. and Latin American relations? We are joined by pt2. He was the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Western Hemisphere Affairs at the U.S. State Department. Thanks so much for joining us. U.S. backyard, Latin America. There has been some criticism of China getting more and more involved in the region. Is that right? Do you agree with that?
Well, Latin America clearly is very important to the United States, and the United States has had an important presence traditionally in Latin America. Canada is and talking about the Western Hemisphere in general, Canada is our #1 trade partner. Mexican is our 3rd trade partner. They're key sources of energy. The United States trade with the region has grown very strongly in the past decade and a half. It's a region where we have close cultural ties, where there are many citizens from Latin America residing in the United States. Yeah. So it's a region of traditionally really close relations.
Let me just pick up. There is some reticence in Washington about the pace of Chinese investment, especially in some of the big economies in Latin America. We're talking, of course, about Brazil. And then this trip by Li Keqiang was to close U.S. trading partners as well, Chile, Colombia, and Peru, who are hoping to join the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Sure. From the Latin American point of view, it makes sense that they're looking at different sources for financing, for trade in the world, the globalized world economy today. That makes absolutely perfect sense. The United States is still by far the leading trade partner of Latin America. China has made tremendous inroads in the past 15 years in terms of rising from a relatively small profile to a very important one in the region. There are some important changes that are taking place in the nature of the Chinese economic relationship with the region. But again, the region is going to make decisions based on its needs, and China offers some important opportunities, but the United States remains a very important trade partner.
So do you see this as a potential win for China, win for Latin America, and a win for the United States as these economies get more developed as well?
I think that as the economies of Latin America develop, it certainly presents new opportunities for the United States in terms of trade and investment, as it does for China. I don't see necessarily a conflict. Certainly one can interpret different factors in different ways, but the region of Latin America has been growing very strongly during the commodity boom in the last 15 years, in part because of China. But it's been a long-term goal for the region to reach a higher state of development, and that's something the United States has always supported.
The United States has been involved politically, sometimes internally, in many Latin American countries. China doesn't usually get involved in other countries. Are we seeing a pullback as well by the U.S. in terms of its engagement politically with Latin America?
Not necessarily a pullback of engagement. In the overall picture, the presence of the United States is not as large as it used to be, because others have a larger presence. But the United States has good relations with the region. The Obama administration has been focused on relationships built on mutual respect, on common interests, on promoting trade, investment, on educational exchanges, on important factors that build long-term strong relationships.
You know, the U.S. is at the moment trying to re-establish diplomatic ties with Cuba. Is some sense of that prompted by the fact that the U.S. always had a problem dealing with Latin American countries because of its stance on Cuba? And as other countries move into the region, they needed to remove that in a way, didn't they?
Well, that was a point of discord between the United States and other countries in the region, and that point is being removed as the Obama administration works to to change in a very basic way the relationship of the United States with Cuba.
Given the size of the Chinese investment into Latin America that's being planned, current trade is about $260 billion a year. They plan to double that going forward over the next decade. Is there some reticence about what that economic investment will mean in terms of influence in Latin American affairs in Washington? And also, remember, it's still a very big natural resources area. US needs some of that too.
Sure. Well, the trend has been in recent years away from natural resources and more towards other kinds of investment, much of which Latin America needs very much. Investment, for example, in infrastructure, which is linked to the export of commodities and is extremely important overall. The countries in Latin America will make their decisions based on their national needs. Certainly, it enhances the presence of China in the region. But again, I think in the United States, they see Chinese interest in Latin America as still predominantly an economic interest, and one that is understandable under the circumstances, given Latin America's course of development.